Hey everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Future-Proofing Attribution, the Importance of First-Party Data in a Post-Cookie World. And my name is Riley McLaughlin. I'm the Content Manager here at Main Street ROI, and I will be your webinar host. And I'm also joined by Sean Leonard, who is the CEO of Active Demand. So Sean, at this point, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Okay, well, thank you all for taking the time to spend with me and to talk about something that I think has been sort of on everybody's mind for the past, I would say, year. I know it's something that I get asked a lot about, and it's a case that hopefully with this presentation today is that we will give you some insights, break a little bit of the couple of myths, and also give you some strategies that we see people doing, and we as a company, we're actually doing this ourselves. So hopefully we're make a good use of the time that you're giving us here today. So really, it's really broken. I'm breaking this into, I want to talk about cookies because that's sort of I think the top of mind thing that everybody has is what's happening with cookies. And but really the real thing that people should be thinking about is what's happening with data and what are we doing with data. And I want to talk specifically about tracking and some advanced strategies with regards to tracking and attribution and helping accelerate buyer journeys. So I think what's brought everybody here today is this mantra that we're thinking of, the cookies are dying, and I love cookies, but it's a case that we're hearing it, we're seeing that Apple's blocking cookies, Chrome is blocking cookies, cookies are dead, the sky is falling, what are we going to happen? What's going to happen when the cookies are gone? Is Cookie Monster going to leave Sesame Street? Who knows? The end of the day is that this is really what the topic at hand is what's happening with cookies. Now, stating the obvious for those that are a little bit techie here is what the heck is this cookie? And a cookie is, I think most of us on the call here know, it's a file that is saved in the browser when somebody loads a web page. And really this whole I'm an old fellow, and it's a case the internet has changed considerably from when I was a young fellow. But something that hasn't really changed, there's been lots of technology work around this, is it's a stateless engagement, right? You ask for a page, it is served, it's loaded inside the browser. Now, to sort of improve that experience, this concept of a cookie, where it's a file that is saved in the visitor's browser, so that we can maintain state between multiple pages. So this it's served really to originally to save state, so that the experience of the web would be much greater, because you basically developers of websites and web assets could leverage the fact that it is Sean that is opening this page, and it is Sean when he goes to the next page, and this is what Sean did on the first page, and even this is what Sean did the last time he came to the website. And so it is used for definitely persisting the state across page visits and sessions. And it's also used, like I said, for improving the experience, but it is definitely is used for tracking, right? And typically always when the page loads inside the browser, there's scripts on the inside the browser that are loaded by the browser for the page that access that cookie and do things, right? Maybe they call home, right? Maybe they read the cookie. This is still this person. It's this session. This type of stuff. But it's really how it's accessed is by scripts that are deployed with the page when the page loads. And really, the two ends of the spectrum from cookies are really the differentiation or categorization of cookies is by the domain of origin. So first-party cookies are deployed and stored in the browser by the person who owns the website. It's from the domain that the page is being served from. And really, it's a case that the owner of the website, they're dropping the cookie. They have inside the browser. It's a case that allows the owner of the website to customize the experience. And the fact is, you're literally, browsing into their home or their storefront, and it's okay for them to track and optimize the process and be able to differentiate between a good actor and a bad actor, and change the behavior of or the experience as such. So it's a case that it's very valuable. The first party cookies, for as far as the experience on the web, extremely important. And they're supported by all browsers. Whereas third-party cookies, they're created on a different domain. So maybe the page loads, a script calls home, and then it comes and injects this cookie or this file, or the link to the file is from somewhere off of the site, right? And it's used for by advertisers, right? So it's used for advertisers to track somebody through a longer journey, right? So for example, maybe they searched this ad, they clicked this ad, they came here, then they went somewhere else, and we want to have a good idea of what this person's journey is, so we can provide from an advertiser's perspective and a marketer's perspective, a much better experience when engaging with ads. So it's really, and this is the type of cookie that is I think is getting is in the press a lot, is third-party cookies. So the problem here is really about privacy, right? Is that let's face it, if it's fine that you walk into somebody's website and they're tracking what you're doing so that they can determine whether you're a customer or you're a bad actor, or like maybe it's a bot faking the visits, and etc. Right? But it's the bigger problem is when we're looking at tracking somebody across the web, across multiple sites. Oh, I see Sean. Sean's on this page. Oh, he went over to this site too. We see him going over here, right? And definitely, it's a case that some countries are really pushing back on this, like in the EU, and places that are, it is a sign of the times, right? As privacy, all of a sudden, people are becoming more educated as to, why are we allowing these companies to track us everywhere, right? And it's typically the bigger companies that have all the data. I'm not mentioning any names, Google, but it's a case that yeah, there's definitely some privacy concerns here. So the solution is really, and people have been really pushing for this, privacy groups have been pushing for this, is really, start, blocking these third-party cookies. So when it's in the news and you're hearing about the death of the cookie, it is really the death of the third-party cookies, right? And so, end of the day, how does this impact me as somebody that is looking to market and sell, right? I have a product and I have a service or whatever it is, and and I believe I truly help somebody. And if somebody doesn't, if they know they have a problem and don't know about me, right, then it hurts the customer, and of course it hurts me as a vendor, right? So really, the question is, how does it impact me? So definitely, if you are a company that sells ads, and what I mean by selling ads, you are an ad technology company, Google or Facebook. It's a case that it impacts them, right? It definitely impacts them for their ability to provide fantastic results from the services that they have, which is ad deployment, right, and ad targeting technology. Because if you think about their position, is that they want to provide the best experience possible for both the advertiser and definitely the consumer, right? If their thinking is if I can get the right ad in front of somebody, Everybody needs help. And if this is going to help that person, boy, look at me. I'm benevolent. I'm helping the planet by making connections between those that have a pain and those that have a solution. They're going to be impacted by this change, definitely. But for those of us smaller folks who have products and services, definitely if you're a sophisticated marketer and you're doing retargeting and you're looking to get at people not just on your website, but get them to your website and engaging with your brand, then definitely this is good. There is an impact, right? But before I talk about the solutions to this impact or thinking about this impact, something that is extremely important to be taking away from this, first party cookies can't go away, really. There's some fundamental shifts in how the web works or the internet works or websites work and the whole relationship between asking for a web page and the experience when you're on that site. Uh, uh, these files that are an important part of the experience, right? It's like, I know we're using, I'm sure everybody here has got password solutions, and our IT put this restriction that, of course, if you close the browser, you've got to log back in to the password solution. Now, think about, yes, I get it, it's security, everybody understands, and we have a culture of security, but think about people walking, it's hard enough to get click depth on your site. Imagine if every time they come to the website, they have to start from scratch, start the exact same time as the first time they came to your website, as opposed to, Sean, welcome back. It's been great to see you. How's the kids, right? It's this storefront experience that first party cookies play such a big role in. So really, what is the solution? What is the solution for us with regards to if we are negatively impacted by the death of the third party cookie? Well, really, we need to formulate data strategies. We need to understand data, and we need to understand how to leverage data, and it's to ensure that we are shortening the buyer journey and ensuring that we are getting the right message to the right people at the right time when they need help, and making sure there's a connection between what it is that you have that solves a unique problem that your target audience currently is feeling, the problem they have or the pain they're having. So really it comes down to you need, and I argue, to formulate a data strategy. And when I think about data, there's really several classifications. This is a narrower view of data, but there's bigger classifications than this. And really two ends of the spectrum are first party data, third party data, right? So first part, and then in the middle, second party data. So it's a case that if we think about first party data, this is stuff that is, you walk into a store, they know it's you. It's stuff that you agree to give, or a visitor agrees to give the vendor. It's collected with consent, and it's really very individualized. It's accurate, and it's not shared by the vendor you're giving this data to. Now, and I'll talk about more in detail of these three types of data. Third-party data, it's these data aggregators, people who collect data, scraping the web. Maybe they have there's lots of sources. It's shared with the people who are aggregating this data. It's as far as how fresh it is or how accurate it is. It's not necessarily high accuracy, and it's shared. These people who have these data buckets, they share it with lots of companies. So if you're buying that type of data, guess what? So is somebody else, right? It's not. It is something that is, again, it's a bucket. People are drawing from that bucket, but arguably the value of that definitely is, I think, is going south with regards to the changes with the cookie policies. So, and I'll talk a bit more about second party data in a couple of slides. So if we think about first party data, this is data that you are collecting through direct engagement. And the way I see it is there's really, I divide first party data into two sections. One is I would say, demographic or descriptive metadata, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a few slides. And the other one is behavioral data, right? So you think about, when I say demographic, it's, how old I am, it's maybe where I live, my male, female, whatever the story is it's this type of data plus your actual activities that you're doing while engaging with a vendor. Now, second party data, this is a type of aggregator that is aggregating data that is highly accurate, and again there is consent, right? It is the case that somebody who these aggregators do have this data, and it is collected with consent, and it is purchased from marketplaces. And really, the benefit to marketers is that it allows you to scale. Now, and we as a company, we have second data partners we work with, and we also are resellers of second party data. And many of my customers say, well, what about privacy concerns? How can I use this data? And, it's, I was going to McDonald's with my daughter last night, and she was, they're asking you, before, can I take your order? But before they even say that, are you collecting points? And my daughter says, yeah, we should be collecting points. We come to McDonald's lots. And I said, but what are those points really doing? Is that it's you consenting to give data, and that data is going to be, so arguably it's a case that with certainty though, any of the second party data is being collected and resold as with consent. Now, again, third-party data, this is where it's, again, there's all kinds of sources for this data. You don't really know where it's coming from. It is all consent-based, and I would say maybe some of it is, because it's publicly available, right? It's maybe a list on a website, or there's specific information, and I'm giving it a bad rap here. It's a case there's definitely some fantastic data available, again, but you're purchasing it, right, from an aggregator and or a data marketplace, and it's the real benefit here is broad audience targeting, right? People who are in this group of people, find me people like this and target ads with it. And when you combine it with your first party data, it helps, definitely give you a little bit better targeting. And but the reality is, and the truth is, you don't know the origin of the data, and that data is available to many, many, many companies. And really the high, if I was to say of these three types, and this is going to be the theme for the rest of this presentation, is first party data is extremely valuable, extremely valuable. Now, if I think about this in the case of us as a company, or you trying to engage with your target audience to take that magic that you've created and that solves specific problems, if we think about it in a funnel, right? So we have the very top of the funnel is okay, these people, I believe, have a problem that we are uniquely positioned to solve, right? So this is really, we're doing research, we're collecting companies, it is with certainty speculative, but we're typically, all of us are thinking, okay, what does our customer look like? How do we find your customers? Are ways for us to find people that maybe I'm buying third-party data, who knows, right? But this data is stored typically, if we think about this technology where a company would store this, marketing automation platforms, CRM, spreadsheets, slide decks, reports, over the coffee, over coffee, etc. Right? It's definitely from an accuracy perspective, it's not super accurate, and it is absolutely speculative, but we all have spent the time collecting this. And this definitely is a case where we're looking to our third-party data sources quite often here. Now, the next type of data is behavioral data. Now, this is where people are actually doing stuff, right, with you, right? They're engaging directly with your website. They're engaging with your support staff. They're engaging with assets that you own, and you have a very clearly defined privacy policy letting people know what you're collecting and what they're agreeing to when they engage with you. Now, definitely, if it's a case, this behavioral data is being collected by anonymous people. At the end of the day, we are inferring. They looked at this page, they looked at that page, they looked at this page. Therefore, I infer they're interested in this, right? And even if it gets right down to a lot closer, which will be the next one, which is engaged people. But right here, I would say it is the inference is what we're getting out of this. We're inferring that we know something about this audience of people. Now, this is where direct action happens, where we're actually talking to people, right? We're talking to people, we're chatting with people, we're having direct chat on our website. We're so maybe it's on our Facebook page and chatting with our followers. Maybe it's a case that they are phoning us, sending direct email, all this type of stuff. This is direct engagement, and by and large, it's a case that if we're engaging with people, we're trusting that they're telling us the truth, and we as well are telling the truth. And the end of the day is that we can make the assumption that this type of data is factual, and with certainty, it is under this category of first-party data. Now, really, if we have a well-defined data strategy, we will ensure that anything we learn from the bottom here flows. We have a strategy of flowing the data to, for example, our interaction data, factual data is going to improve our inferences of our behavioral data, and the direct and also the behavioral is going to improve our total data set and description of who our client base is. So it isn't just little buckets. There is, if you're have a well-defined strategy, we're updating all of our data set and improving our picture of what our client base is, or prospect base is. So really, I think the one message here that, again, this is about first-party data, is that if you're not doing it today, is you need a tracking strategy, right? If you're not tracking people, and you're just looking at, for example, Google Analytics or just statistics on people, it's the wrong strategy. You need to have a good tracking strategy, and you need a good first-party data collection strategy. In my opinion, is that the first-party data is an asset for your company. And it's almost as important as your intellectual property, right? Is that it's the first, it is the engagement and data set of the people that are currently engaged with your company, because they have a problem that your company solves, whether or not they buy from you or not, or they have bought from you. At the end of the day, this is extremely important data. And if you don't treat it with importance, and do not get a strategy to actually collect and manage and maintain and ensure that there's a hygiene strategy for this data, I think though you're going to be at a loss compared to your competitors who are actually taking this approach. So it's a combination of technology and strategy, right? As we need to truly understand that how people are engaging and how they're crossing the finish line with your company, right? Is ensure there's no conversion gaps. And like what I mean by that is that I see people, and your philosophy might be very different than mine on this, is that I would never put my email address on my website, right? Why is it will be scraped, that's with certainty. But number two is that if somebody takes that email and just emails us, I lose the opportunity to connect that individual with all of the fantastic first-party data that I have collected on this person before they got to the website. Another scenario is they come to the website and they phone me, right? And it isn't just enough to have a checkbox to say, yes, somebody phoned me, and somebody writes it down in the CRM. I want that session data that instantiated that call, because then I can see how many times they've came to the website before, what's bringing them to the website, what content they're consuming, all of this type of stuff. So it's call tracking, I argue, is an extremely important strategy when it comes to collecting first-party data. It's also the case that the calls, the rubber meets the road on the phone, right? This is the best first-party data that you can get, is what happens on a phone call. But definitely things like form fills, I think everybody recognizes that they need to track it, but it isn't just that the form is filled out, it's about getting that journey of the individual. And of course, the channels, understanding how people are coming to your website. And this is not going to be impacted by the death of the cookie. It's still, we're going to get this data from, for example, if you're using Google Ads, I strongly recommend that if you're using Google Ads, implement value track parameters, right? It's the only way that you can truly see in your house what people are doing with the ads, as opposed to looking at Google's dashboards. Do some research on it. Value track parameters is really easy to implement, but definitely what it does is it communicates this very important data to you, and you get to collect it on your website. Now, it isn't just about data. It's also, we need to understand how all of this connects to your business, right? What are the KPIs that we're trying to drive with our first party data strategy, right? It's not about stats, it's about wins, right? So, I think I've had this discussion with many people about content, right? It's like, how do you measure the impact of your content strategy? And typically you'll get answers like, impressions or views or shares or page ranking. Those are stats, right? It's not a direct, it's all inference. There's an inference that if people are sharing this content, there is a correlation to what's driving our business. The end of the day is, yes, it's not about stats, it's understanding the connection between everything you do and how it is actually driving sales, right? Is how far we're getting into an account, how are we acquiring these customers. So if you have a data strategy that cannot make that connection, clearly it's not you don't have a first party data strategy, but it's really about collecting the information on the people through the entire journey, all the way through to purchase. So it's getting away from this anonymous aggregation and getting more towards how am I driving sales? How am I driving my business? Now, most companies, they actually get their answers. So what is driving our business from a whole bunch of different islands of information, right? And the reality is, I argue that the less is more when it comes to a first-party data strategy, and also driving the business KPIs, right? Is the more pieces of software you have all of this connected to, the less accurate it's going to be, and I argue that the harder it's going to be to maintain clean and a hygiene strategy. So typically, people are looking at many different data sources today, or views to the data. I think there's my recommendation is to get what is your one source of truth for understanding the first party data, and how it how the customer journeys and how your marketing spend is impacting these customer journeys. So there's lots of options. If we think about this, you've seen them all. Google Analytics, I think everybody's used this. Everybody felt the pain when we went from Universal Analytics to GA4. And if you haven't felt that pain, then yeah, I argue it's a case that, yeah, you don't have a data strategy yet. But for those of us that have been looking at data and looking at information and stuff, Google Analytics has been a big part of this, right? It's free, but definitely we all took a hit when there was this transition from Universal Analytics to GA4. And the reason for that was, back to the first couple of slides I had, it's all about privacy. because Google was literally giving us a view into, all this data they're collecting on people across, they're giving us a lot. It was very nice, but now it's painful, I argue. But the cons of Google Analytics, I argue, is that definitely it's anonymous. The closer you get to an individual, the less data you're going to get. There's this fog, right, between it's really stats. We're looking at stats as opposed to people, and it's this whole push. Google definitely has been stung with lawsuits, et cetera, regarding privacy. So it's a case that again, GA4 was a direct response to that. Now, there are these things called customer data platforms, and they're just dedicated to this. That's exactly what they do. They're purpose-built for data collection, distribution. They're fantastic for personalization, but I argue the traditional CDPs are pretty heavy duty for most people that, that if your name isn't, say, Microsoft or Oracle or somebody that has deep pockets and big marketing budgets, et cetera. And the real challenge with CDPs is they don't take the action on their own, right? It's a case you need a platform that does something with the conclusions the CDP makes. And then other ones, I think everybody's used CRMs for this, and I argue it's really nice that the CRM, it's easy to see what salespeople are doing and how the leads are and how we're engaging. But the reality is, if you're using your CRM as a CDP, you end up stuffing a lot of junk into the platform that is, in essence, a project management tool for salespeople. Like, let's get to the heart of it is that a CRM is really exactly that. At its core, it's for salespeople to project manage relationships with customers. So we end up, if we're using it as a CDP, we end up stuffing a lot of junk in it. Most of the CRMs don't have the capabilities to truly collect the amount of data a CDP has. So therefore, it's stuffed into the CRM in a one-dimensional attribution model, like web lead, referral, right? it's definitely not the place to be looking for and basing your first-party data strategy on. Now, marketing automation platforms, this is a nice connector between, I would say, the CDP and a CRM, is that it has many points of collection points for collecting first-party data. And it also has actions, right? You can email, you can send a social post, you can do web chat, you can all of this type of stuff you can do based on the data that's actually being collected. And it combines the demographic data, which is descriptive, and behavioral data to adapt journeys. It truly has if you have the right marketing automation system, it has the data set that no other platform has, plus the ability to take action, right? And apply advanced analysis strategies to provide a better marketing outcome, or I should say a better shorten the buyer journey by, again, leveraging the data it's collecting. And it is the foundation of a first-party data collection strategy. Now, the downside, of course, is that it's typically quite sophisticated and there's lots of options to configure. So it's a bit of a mountain. That's typically the pushback we hear when it comes to marketing automation. But definitely, if you're thinking about a first-party data strategy, this is the sweet spot for you. Now, something to need to just step back here when we're thinking about data. The people you're engaging with are it's people, right? These are not stats. These people that are engaging with your website, the people you're trying to engage and do business with, we can't lose focus on the fact that they're actual people who have challenges they're trying to solve. Each of these people, they need help. They have a problem. They need help. If you're treating these people like stats, let me tell you, it's doing a disservice to everybody. They're going to behave like stats and they're not going to engage with you. So it's really, what's important here is that when we're thinking about first-party data strategies, it's really about what is the journey? What is the journey of an individual, a person who has a real problem that you are trying to assist with helping? So really, the message here is get out of the stats, right? We have to be thinking about the people and their journeys. Now, if we think about, for example, here's an example, Jennifer Smith, right? Fictitious name. What was her journey? Right? So she clicked a Google ad at the beginning and she landed on a page. She consumed some specific content on the website. And then she said, yes, it looks like there's an alignment between the problem that I have and this company's website. So I fill out a quote request. It gets posted to Deals a CRM. So it's a case that we understand, right, what Jennifer's story is, how she got to us, how she found us, what the problem is. We have direct engagement. There's some really good data here, but there's actually, if you have a fantastic data story or strategy, it isn't just about these touch points, it's about the rest of the journey. So if we think about Jennifer, what content did Jennifer consume? What blog posts, which social posts, which emails, what is the content? And if we're able to track what these people consume on a per piece of content basis, and we understand what that content is, we understand a lot more about Jennifer's journey. What chats did she have, right? She talked with our support staff or our sales engineers on the website. Again, she's asking questions, we're responding. This is fantastic first-party data. And more importantly is when Jennifer calls, what did Jennifer talk about on the phone? What are the things that she highlighted as defining? She's going to tell you what the problem is, right? But if you look at here, if you're not, this is an example of collecting, having a good, solid first-party data strategy and having the tools to collect all of this stuff. Now, what are we just collecting it to be creepy? No, we're collecting it to help people. So if we think about, for example, I'm going to give you an example that's one of our examples, something we did do with this example of a journey and how we adapt with it. So this example is how we are as a company leveraging first-party data to improve the buyer journey or shorten the buyer journey and improve the customer experience. So we have a marketing automation stack. Active Demand we're a marketing automation company. And so one of the pieces of things that we have as a company is landing pages, right? So with the landing pages, we hence have competitors. So we target keyword searches for our competitors. If somebody searches for lead pages, they see our ad, they click this ad, they go to our landing page. Our landing page, of course, talks about in depth how much better we are than lead pages. Now, if they search for unbounce, right? Same ad, they click the ad, it goes to the exact same page, but our page dynamically adapts and tells a unique story about how much better we are than unbounce. So it isn't just changing a couple of keywords. We're literally taking, with value track parameters, we get what they search for, we know what ad, and therefore the page can adapt to the individual. Now, let's say this person who clicks the ad and goes to the page, let's say they don't fill out the form, let's say they phone, right? Because they're trying to understand, they have a problem and the problem there's some urgency to the problem. They don't want to wait around. They just need to have some answers to see if the landing page solution is going to work for them. So they phone us, right? And the thing that they ask, and which is extremely important to them, is does the software integrate with the CRM that they currently have? And the CRM, in this case, they're actually using Pipedrive, which is a CRM, right? So the pain they have is it doesn't matter what the landing pages do. It's a case that the pain that they have, and you see they've talked about Pipedrive a lot on this call, is that the pain that they have is that will this connect to the CRM that we've invested in? Right? So here, this is first-party data. They talk to us about Pipedrive on the phone. So the software interprets the call, understands the call. It now knows that that person has Pipedrive and that it's important to them. So what happens is the website the software takes that data, and it's a case, it shifts the experience on the website. So everywhere around the website, we're positioning our product as how it relates to Pipedrive, their CRM. And this is dynamic. And not only does the website, every time they come back, it's going to be telling the story about how well our integration with Pipedrive is. And we will retarget this person with ads, for example, on Facebook. And everywhere they go on Facebook, they'll see these cutesy little ads of Pipedrive and Active Demand and milk and cookies, and they go together so nicely. And little pop-ups on our website talking about how well we integrate with Pipedrive. So really the experience that happens is that the pain of does this integrate with Pipedrive goes away, and now they can focus on truly does it solve the problem. And the result, and even the emails we send dynamically injecting images related to what their number one pain concern is the integration with Pipedrive. So really, the results of this, definitely a reduction of effort. We did the same thing for several other marketing channels, and we saw a lift of 200% in conversion rate. We've seen a significant lift in page depth, et cetera. And it makes sense because we're literally customizing the journey to the individual, leveraging our first-party data. So a couple of last slides really about what we do. We have an integrated marketing stack, and it really starts with the buyer journey. We collect all of the data from first touch on the website through all pieces of engagement. We are collecting what content people consume, what they chat about, what files they download, what they talk about on the phone. As far as a first-party data system, definitely we're collecting everything. And with that as the foundation, of course, we have tools for accelerating the journey, email marketing, landing pages, workflows, call tracking, et cetera. But really the heart of it is this, is that it's the data we're collecting on everybody that comes to our website or your website, right? Everything that the population does through the entire journey all the way through to purchase, we are tracking. And as far as automating or seeing patterns in the data, without the data, you can't actually analyze it. Whereas with a automation system like Active Demand, we are truly a first-party data collection system. And not only that, we're actually integrating with all the tools that you're using to drive demand. And our deep integrations with the CRM vendors mean that we collect all deal state changes, all revenue from the deals, all of the activities related to the deals. So again, collecting all of this engagement, and hence we become the single version of truth for understanding what is driving your business. So in summary here, it's a case that yes, third-party cookies are going away, right? And with that, a lot of the third-party data platforms will end up becoming irrelevant, and definitely how we think about off-site demand advertising has to change. But something that hopefully you leave this call with is that first-party cookies are staying, and they're extremely important. First-party data is extremely valuable to your business. This is absolutely a critical asset that needs to be managed. And really, again, I'm hoping that from this presentation, I've communicated that you do need a data strategy. I'll pass things back off to Riley to take any questions you may have.
That's right. Thanks, Sean, so much for this incredible presentation, and really emphasizing the importance of tracking that customer journey all the way through.
You can't
really,
optimize and accelerate that which you don't have.
exactly. Right. Can't improve what you can't measure.
Yeah.
Cool. So yes, this is an incredible opportunity to ask Sean any questions that you have about attribution, first, second, or third-party data. So if you have any questions at all, please put those in the chat. And yes, it looks like there is a question. Will we get the slides and the replay link? Yeah. So this webinar is being recorded. So tomorrow morning you can expect an email with a link to the recording and a copy of the slides as well. And Sean, while we're waiting for questions, I have a few lined up for you. So given that machine learning is such a hot topic right now, is there any way that machine learning can be leveraged to improve tracking?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a case, if we think about what machine learning is, it's looking at a very large data set and using computer processing to analyze multiple scenarios to basically find patterns or find personas that meet specific objectives, right? And I would say if you don't have a first party data strategy and you're thinking about doing any type of machine learning, you're not going to get the same benefits than if you're using it on just a few sample points. Like I've heard people talk about how they're leveraging machine learning to better improve lead scoring, and they're analyzing all the activities across their organization in the CRM, right? The order of magnitude of data that is in a marketing automation system it is outstanding. It's really a function of the outcomes, and predictability comes from the quality of the data and the size of the data set. So if you don't have a first-party data strategy, yes, there's things you can do to leverage machine learning to have better marketing outcomes. One way, for example, I've seen lots of people doing is posting back offline conversions to Google Ads, for example, saying and letting Google's machine learning algorithms find more people that look like the people that you're sending to Google. And this requires one is I've seen people do this with manually, right? But definitely if you're using a marketing automation system like Active Demand, this can be completely automated. So you can say, this person who's matched these persona, they've done this type of stuff, they purchased these products, this needs to go to Google for this specific ad group, and find me more people like that.
Perfect. And it looks like we have a question from Randy. What call platforms does this integrate with? And I assume it needs to, but maybe not because of the inference.
Yeah, so really and that's a good question, is regarding to, like, for example, our system, it is a call tracking platform, but does it integrate with other call tracking platforms? Now, the important part of, again, back to my single version of the truth, is if the call tracking, it's doing its own tracking of the individual in the session, whereas a platform like ours is tracking the entire journey. So if a call happens with, or even you have something plugged, you imagine something plugged into your office phone number system, right? And you're tracking how many calls came in and understanding what they're talking about. Not being able to make the connection between that call and an entire journey of an individual is almost impossible unless the call tracking system is natively integrated with your customer data platform, because it's the connection of that session that happens when the call is made is critical to making the connection between the person on the website who phoned and where were they in the journey when that call happened. So definitely all platforms, all third-party platforms, whether it's forms or it's calls or it's any of these other things, there's definitely connections that you can make into a customer data platform. But the challenge is, like Active Demand, putting it into Active Demand, but the challenge is really the loss of that session is really the pain point. So it's a case that you cannot connect. It's hard to connect that person calling to this journey without inferring, I think it was this person that called, and this was the journey.
Great. And actually, Randy had a follow up there. What does it take to connect this? And do I need a web developer, CRM engineers, etc.?
Yeah, no, it is a great question. And the reality is it's a tracking script that goes on your website, right? So with the bare minimum, it's the tracking script that goes on the website. And basically when people visit your website, it's a first party cookie that's delivered from your domain into the browser. So it's a case we're tracking that person's journey through multiple touch points. It injects call tracking numbers. It shows pop-ups. It will track forms. So at the very bare minimum, it's a tracking script. Now, to leverage some of the more advanced features, like for example, dynamic content, dynamic pop-ups, dynamic this type of stuff, then there is a little bit more lift. But we say to all of our customers, start with the data. Start collecting. The data is going to tell you what to do. That journey I showed you with regards to Pipedrive, what we saw and how we came up with that is we're actually in because we're integrated with Pipedrive, we're in their marketplace, right? So people are clicking all these this track link from the marketplace of Pipedrive coming to our website, and we're getting a ton of visitors on the website from Pipedrive. Visitors, not conversions. It was the data that told us that. And then now, once we saw that, we're saying, wow, I bet you, if we think about somebody who's coming from Pipedrive to our website, what they're really worried about, just like everything in the marketplace, doesn't actually integrate. So we did this dynamic content strategy with the pop-ups and the advertising, and that's what we saw the lift. It started with the data. It didn't start with the inference and speculation. It was like, okay, there's these people coming here, or these people bought and they came from this channel. How can we reduce the pain for this individual and get to the meat of, do we solve your problem? So yeah, don't try to boil the ocean. Start with collection and get a strategy in place to ensure you're doing data maintenance and data hygiene, and the data will tell you what direction you need to go in.
Perfect. Not seeing any more questions, so I have another one. How can I tailor my marketing strategies to attract high-value customers based on attribution insights?
That's a fantastic question. That's really the essence of a well thought out first-party data strategy, because really you're able to make the connection between who is a high-value customer and who is somebody that won't buy from you because there isn't fit, right? So without the data, it's very difficult to be able to in the journey help those people that there isn't a fit know it quickly, right? So it's a case that with the data, you can, just like we did actually, is once we identify, for example, the Pipedrive folks that is being a high value customer for us because of our integration so well, then it adapts our advertising to get more of those people to engage with us. So, and then remove the barriers to the friction rather to their journey to understand whether or not the problem that they have is there a match with our offering to that person. So also, like I mentioned earlier, is that using dynamic posting to, for example, Google Analytics or Google Ads, really to ads is the important part, based on like based on the calls, on the chats, on the engagement, the difference between a high value prospect and a low value prospect. And really what you're doing if you're using this automated posting to Google Ads, for example, you're leveraging the power of Google's algorithms to get those ads in front of the right people that are high value customers. Hopefully that answered it.
Yeah. And so we have just a few minutes left. So again, if anyone has any questions about attribution, tracking, anything like that, this is really a great opportunity to ask Sean those questions directly. And while we give people just a couple more minutes, Sean, I have another question for you. Should I prioritize short-term conversions or focus on long-term customer relationships in my attribution model?
So I would say it's back to the answer. The previous question is related to this question, in that ideally what you want to do is get those people that have a high probability of a match between the problem they have and your current service offering. In other words, do you solve their problem, right? So it's a case that if you're focusing on that, right? Then it gets you the short-term conversions of the right people where you can have long-term relationships with.
Perfect. All right. Not seeing any new questions.
Yep. Feel free to email as well after this. We're definitely happy to answer any questions that might come up as a result of this. Definitely engage with us both. We're here to help is the reality.
That's right. Perfect. Well, with that, Sean, thank you so much for presenting today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully we used your time wisely here.
Well, all right. Thanks, everyone. Hope you have a good rest of your day, and see you on the next one.